Well, I was given one of my all-time favorite people, closest friends, Paul Mailer. Taylor. Um, Paul, I have learned over time, is a very generous person. Some years ago, Krista and Stephanie and Kate wanted to drive down over to Oregon and visit, and I sort of invited myself at the last minute, and Paul was very generous. He said, let's go play some golf, and we went down to a local golf course. I found out that in Oregon, if you're from Washington, apparently you have to pay for everything. I didn't know that was a particular law. But we had a great time. It really was a fun time. Loved playing golf there. The fairways were just fabulous. And Paul, you probably remember this fabulous, wonderful 3-iron I hit. Enough of that. Anyway, honestly, truly had a great time. It was one of my favorite golf outings of all time, and Paul and I had a great time, and that's my memory.
Well, it's my great privilege today to talk about Greg Castro. Now, most of you think of Greg only as this grumpy old conspiracy theorist who can't hardly get himself out of a chair anymore. But Greg is so much more than that to me, in so many different ways. First of all, he's my spiritual guide. I learned so much from Greg in the 2 or 3 lessons I sat in on when he was teaching the high priest group. I learned that if you speak up, you get a piece of candy, which was great. So that's helped me a lot in my life. Thank you, Greg, for that. But more than that, Greg to me is a sort of a golf god. He is my leader, my king. He is the one who shows me how to play golf. And I want to just tell a quick story about Greg playing golf one day. Most of the stories about Greg playing golf are not appropriate for this audience and can't be shared. But I will share this one. We were lined up on a par 3 tee, the Richland course, Johnny, Greg, and myself. And Greg got up to the tee there and got ready to hit the ball. And he had had a kind of a frustrating round so far that day, and so he was ready on this hole to really bear down and do a great job. So he got up to the tee, took a nice shot at the ball, missed it about as badly as I've ever seen anybody miss the ball, barely clipped the ball. The ball shot forward about 10 feet in front of us, and there was a small tee box on the ground, hit the tee box, ricocheted, and actually ended up behind where he was on the tee. It's the only golf shot I've ever seen that ended up behind the golfer at the start of the shot. So that's Greg playing golf in a nutshell. And hey, Greg, Merry Christmas. Love you a lot.
We went on a date one night to Cafe Rio, and we had a good time. And then we went to Iceberg right after, which was a terrible decision because she had the shredded chicken at Cafe Rio, which is a disaster already in itself. Then add a bunch of dairy to that. On the way home, she had to go to the bathroom really, really bad. I won't mention what number she had to go, but she really needed to go to the bathroom. And so I was trying to hurry on my way home. She totally forgot that she needed to go to the bathroom. She started cleaning the dishes in the kitchen. Yeah. And then all of a sudden she hit her, and she gave me like one of these. And she sprinted towards the bathroom, and she was in there for a while. I won't say how long, roughly 30 minutes. And she all of a sudden yelled out the bathroom door, "Babe!" kind of like penosa. And I went over to her, and oh my goodness. And it went all over the walls, all over the toilet seat, the back of the toilet, on the floor. It was all over herself. She didn't make it to the toilet. And that was the best 1-hour cleaning that I've ever done in my life. Still has problems when we go to Cafe Rio and Iceberg after, so we haven't learned from our mistakes. Merry Christmas, Feliz Navidad, Happy Kwanzaa.
I have a lot of great memories about Grandma, from her coming and supporting me through my choir career to picking leaves in the backyard to make homemade spinach. But one of my favorite memories is of her and Grandpa singing "You Are My Sunshine" right before we left to Oregon, and then waving as our car went out of sight.
You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are blue. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. The other night, dear, when I lay sleeping, I thought I held you in my arms. When I awoke, dear, I was mistaken. So I hung my head and I cried. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. I'm going to talk about my little girl, Lisa. Her little brother, her big brother, was born a year and a half before she was. And he was hurt during birth. And so sometimes he did things spontaneously that weren't very funny for Elizabeth, that she was the littler one and much unable to protect herself. But one day they were playing in this little swimming pool in the summertime, and Jim just took a notion that he wanted to drown her. And so he filled this bucket with water and dumped it over her head. And she sputtered and coughed, and then she started laughing because he was playing with her. Love you, Lizzie Lou.
I get to talk about Katie, and that's really easy and really fun. When Katie was about 2 years old and Stephanie was about 8 years old, we were living in California. They had to share a bedroom, and one night Greg was in the room putting him to bed like we do every night, and Stephanie has to have the bed just perfect. If it's not perfect, she can't sleep in it. So she goes around the bed, straightening out everything. She's like a cat, circling and making sure that everything's perfect before she'll lay down. And Greg said to Stephanie, "Have you ever heard of the story of the Princess and the Pea?" And she said, "No, I haven't heard of that." And so he's told her the story of the Princess and the Pea. And when he was done, Katie said, "Daddy, in this story, who's the princess?" And Greg said, "Well, honey, in this story, Stephanie's the princess." And she says, "Oh, I guess that makes me the pea."
Okay, so a very specific memory I have of Bradley Hunt. We were in his mom's room, and he took off his sock and came up to me and said, "Katie, I have a magic trick, and I need a pink iPhone." And I have a pink iPhone, so I was like, okay, so I gave him my phone, and he puts my phone in his sock and ties it in like a loop. And he puts the sock on the fan and turns the fan on and pins me down, and the fan starts spinning, and as it gets faster, my phone flies off and hits the wall, and he's like, "It's a magic trick," but the entire time I'm like, "Bradley, you just broke my phone." So he gets up, takes the phone out, and it wasn't broken. He's like, "The magic is that it didn't break." And he's so stupid.
Well, good old Johnny boy, my dad. My dad has always been a funny guy. Always wanted to play with us. When I got home from work, I remember, especially during the summer, we'd be out on the trampoline and he's all up in his work clothes, and he'll always come out and jump with us and get all sweaty in his work clothes, which is a lot of fun. He's a funny guy, but also a very teasing guy. And like, sometimes when he knows I don't like things, that's why he does them. So like, during dinner, and I noticed this recently, I'll just be there eating, right? I'll be all eating like this. Okay? And I sit like right here, and my dad is like to the corner of me, okay? And so he's all eating like this. And then he stops and holds his little fork in his little hand like this, and he just stares at me while I'm eating. And I can see out of the corner of my eye that he's looking at me, you know? And I'm just like, wait, Look at me, you know, eating my whatever, you know, and he just stares at me. And so finally, this built to such a heated, tensious moment that I just burst out, "Dad, stop staring at me!" And the room is quiet, dead silent, right? And he's like, I'm sorry, Brad. I'm sorry, you know? And I'm just like, thank you, Dad. Thank you. And that's it.
So, RJ Sanders. You know, it's always an anxious time for the family when we're going to bring in a new member, and it's a little unnerving, you know. But two things I really remember about RJ that helped me to know that he's going to be all right. And one was on their reception that was in Portland. You know, he had just gotten back from Nicaragua from his mission, and AJ just got his call. I thought it was really cool how he took the time to meet with AJ and tell him a lot about it and answer all of AJ's questions, and I could tell that he was you know, going to be interested in the family members, and I really liked that. And the other thing was the family reunion that we took to Honeyman. I don't remember what year that was. I think it was a couple years ago. But all of us went to the park and played, and I remember all the boys jumping in the river, and some of the girls too, but they were in the lake playing, and RJ was right in there with them playing and catching the ball and throwing them around, and I thought that was really cool. That was pretty impressive that he would get right in there with them and treat them, you know, like brothers and sisters, and that really impressed me, and I always remember that, and will always remember that RJ's acceptance of the family members and everybody accepting him.
One memory I have is Matthew was grown up. He must have been 18 years old. So this is fairly recent. It's not too long for him on his mission. And actually it involves Mary. We were at a family reunion. And Mary walked in and saw Matthew. And she said, or actually I was talking to Mary and Matthew walked in. Mary said, "Hi Matthew, how you doing? Tell us something we don't know." Without a moment's hesitation, Matthew immediately responded, "The average density of Europa is 3.10 grams per cubic centimeter." That just killed me. I was almost on the floor laughing so hard at that.
Hi, I get to talk about Sean. Sean is such an amazing young man. One of the first memories I had of him, and he was actually with his brother Matthew, so it's also about him and Matthew, is we were at a family reunion and there was a shuffleboard thing on the floor, and they were playing shuffleboard with Sarah, and Sarah was clearly losing, and so they didn't want her to feel bad, and so they let her win. And I just thought that was the sweetest thing, that two brothers would let their little sister win just because they love her. And it was very, very sweet.
The memory I'm going to tell is fairly trivial seeming, but I remember it well. And what I do not remember is what the occasion was. It may have been when I came home off my mission. I don't remember. I don't remember what the occasion was. But it must have been sometime around then, because Mary was about teenage years. She made me a poster with candy bars. So everybody remembers the candy bar posters. Mary made me a candy bar poster. And I remember being very entertained and very touched by that. So that's my memory of Mary.
One of my favorite memories of Mark was when he's about 4 years old. It was either Thanksgiving or Christmas time, and I was just sitting at the piano and I hear him yelling, "Mary, come here! Aunt Mary, come here, come here!" So I hurried in, and he had built the letter C out of Cocoa Puffs in his cereal. And so I said, "Oh Mark, that's so good, the letter C." I said, "Does it stand for cat?" And he said, "No, it stands for chauffeur." And that's one of my favorite memories of Mark.
A fond memory that reminds me of Micah and me is when we were both sitting on SADS and my camera was in front of both of us, and then we were doing blah, 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 blah.
One memory I have of Sarah is when I was sitting on a couch and I just really wasn't paying attention to anything. And then she came over and smacked my chest really hard. And I was like, what did you do that for? And then she said there was a mosquito on your chest. So I looked down and there was a giant smashed mosquito on my shirt. So I took it and I washed it down the sink.
Something that really reminds me of Caleb's personality is when we were at the family reunion at Ensign Ranch, and we were doing the talent show, and so Caleb wanted to say something, and so he went up and he said, "Hello." That's all I wanted to say.
I miss Jaren. It kind of brings just a small tear to my eye that he's gone. I remember two main things about him, namely his strategy and also his calmness and kind of sometimes greediness. So his strategy was, I don't know his strategy, it's more just luck. So in a game called Bang, it's about 20% skill, 80% luck. And Jaren, he was more like 100% luck, well maybe 99% luck, 1% skill. Don't know how. We would play and Jaren would get every bang and I would get a whole lot of nothing every time. Also, for the calm or greediness, I remember me and Bradley and Jaren would all be on Jaren's bed. Jaren would be lying there. I would be giving him a back rub. He never gave me one back. But we were just laying there. I mean, what? And I gotta get on there. I gotta be on his bed because I give him a back rub. Bradley, he was just lying there for funsies. And still, somehow, Bradley pushed me off. And what Jaren do? He did nothing. He just let me die. I'd fall off the bed. Die, basically. And when I got back on, he helped. You know, he really didn't help. And, you know, that's basically how I remember Jaren. Good old Jaren.
I like playing dodgeball when we were little. Like, I remember Josh's family come over and, like, other people's families. And, like, we played dodgeball in Grandma and Grandpa's backyard.
Awesome.
I remember doing that a couple times. I thought it was really fun.
After Jaren left for his mission, and we happened to be on the phone about something, and I was kind of sharing with her some of my fears or my concerns of having these missionary sons, and she's just shared some advice that touched my heart and really calmed my spirit, and I really appreciated her wise words and being willing to trust me enough to share her personal experience with me that then I could learn from. So, love you, Michelle.
One of my favorite memories of Josh is a few Christmases ago when Mark was like 2 or 3 or 4, I don't remember which. But anyway, it was when Mark was about that age. And Joshua was sitting on the recliner chair that used to be over there. And he was sleeping or dozing or something. And Mark, who was little, and he's the only one that age, he saw Joshua sitting there and he crawled up right next to him, or right on top of him, and just laid down there on him. And Joshua put his arms around him and just let him be there.
One of my favorite memories of AJ is when we were really young, around, but we just watched a Star Wars movie, and so we went outside the trampoline and pulled off the foam pieces for the padding on the bars. We started sword fighting with him until we grew eyes. And then I hit him across the stomach and I said, "You're dead!" And then he jumped and span really fast and hit his head against the metal bar on the outside of the trampoline, and he had to get stitches.
Well, I remember one time we were on a camping trip, and he just started explaining to us all these wonders of the universe, including the speed of light and Newton's theory, especially about light. And for some reason, that always stuck with me. That that the light always goes the same speed, doesn't matter how fast you're going. And I thank Stephen Beecroft for that.
Is he talking about me? That was so enlightening.
Alright, I remember when we were younger, Becky was always the cool aunt, and she always had all the fun toys and like always played the fun games, and we would always tell my mom that we wanted to go play with Becky because she was the fun mom. But love you, Mom.
Stephanie B. I call her Steffi B. My memory of Steffi B, she reminds me of what I would think of as a pixie. She's full of life and sweet, all in one person. And what I remember is when she was a little girl and they had moved back here. They might have been living with Grandma at the time. But anyway, we had brought the boys over and there was a lot of snow. And we piled up this little hill on the stairs outside Grandma's house. And then we were taking a sled and going down the hill. And out comes Steffi. I think Krista was with her too. And she was wearing a dress, snow coat, snow pants, snow boots, but always a dress. So she was always a cute princess pixie.